Imagine being told that you're brilliant at one thing, so brilliant that the world expects you to devote your entire life to it. Now imagine walking away from that success, not because you failed, but because you believed something even more important was calling you. This is the story of Albert Schweitzer, a man who could have lived comfortably as a famous scholar, musician, and philosopher in Europe, but instead chose a life of service in the heart of Africa. His life raises a simple but uncomfortable question. What do we owe the world once we realize what we're capable of? Albert Schweitzer was born on January 14, 1875 in Kaisersberg, a small town in Alsace, a region that sat uneasily between France and Germany. His childhood was shaped by this cultural duality. Schweitzer grew up bilingual, immersed in both French and German traditions, which later allowed him to move effortlessly across intellectual and cultural borders. His father was a Lutheran pastor, and from an early age, Schweitzer was surrounded by theology, ethics, and music. These weren't hobbies in his household, they were the fabric of daily life. Music, in particular, became one of Schweitzer's earliest passions. By his teenage years, he was already recognized as an exceptional organist. He would later become one of the world's leading experts on the music of Johann Sebastian Bach, writing influential essays that shaped how Bach's works were interpreted and performed. At the same time, Schweitzer was academically gifted. He studied theology and philosophy at the University of Strasbourg, earning a doctorate and quickly establishing himself as a rising intellectual star. By his late 20s, Albert Schweitzer had already accomplished what many people spend a lifetime chasing. He was a respected theologian, a university lecturer, a philosopher with original ideas, and a celebrated musician who performed across Europe. His book, The Quest of the Historical Jesus, published in 1906, revolutionized biblical scholarship by critically examining previous attempts to reconstruct the life of Jesus. The work cemented Schweitzer's reputation as one of the most important theological thinkers of his generation. And yet, despite all this success, Schweitzer felt uneasy. He believed that knowledge and talent came with responsibility. Inspired by stories of medical missionaries working in Africa and troubled by the suffering caused by colonial neglect and disease, Schweitzer made a radical decision. At the age of 30, when most academics are climbing the ladder of prestige, he announced that he would study medicine. His goal was not personal advancement, but service. He wanted to become a doctor so he could help people who had little access to medical care. Many thought he was wasting his gifts. Some colleagues dismissed the idea as naive, even foolish. But Schweitzer was undeterred. He enrolled in medical school, once again in Strasbourg, and began the long, demanding process of training as a physician. To support his studies, he continued performing organ concerts across Europe, raising money not only for his education, but for the hospital he already envisioned building in Africa. In 1913, after completing his medical degree, Schweitzer and his wife, Helene Breslau, who trained as a nurse, traveled to Lambaréné, in what is now Gabon, then part of French Equatorial Africa. There, on the banks of the Ogowe River, Schweitzer founded a small hospital. At first, it was little more than a converted chicken coop. Patients arrived suffering from malaria, sleeping sickness, leprosy, infections, and injuries that would have been easily treatable elsewhere. The conditions were harsh, supplies were limited. Tropical diseases took a toll on Schweitzer himself. But the hospital grew steadily, becoming a lifeline for thousands of people over the decades that followed. Schweitzer did not see himself as a heroic savior. Instead, he viewed his work as a moral obligation, a practical expression of an idea that would define his philosophy: reverence for life. Schweitzer's concept of reverence for life was simple but profound. He argued that all life, human and non-human, has intrinsic value. Ethics, in his view, began with recognizing and respecting this value wherever it appears. This philosophy extended beyond medicine. It shaped his views on animal welfare, environmental responsibility, and human relationships. Long before environmentalism became a global movement, Schweitzer was warning that humanity's disregard for life would have devastating consequences. World War I interrupted Schweitzer's work dramatically. As a German citizen living in a French colony, he was arrested and interned by French authorities. He spent much of the war in detention camps in France, unable to return to his hospital. After the war, he resumed his work in Europe for a time, giving lectures and concerts to raise funds. In the 1920s, he returned permanently to Lamborghini, where he rebuilt and expanded the hospital into a complex that included operating rooms, housing for patients' families, and facilities for long-term care. By the mid-20th century, Albert Schweitzer had become an international moral authority. Journalists, politicians, and intellectuals sought his opinions on ethics, peace, and humanity's future. He used this platform carefully. While he avoided partisan politics, he spoke out strongly against nuclear weapons, warning that technological power without moral restraint threatened the survival of civilization itself. In 1952, Schweitzer was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, recognizing both his humanitarian work and his ethical philosophy. He used the prize money to expand his hospital further. In his Nobel lecture, he did not celebrate personal achievement. Instead, he urged modern society had lost its ethical compass and urged individuals to take responsibility for restoring it through action, not just words. Despite his global fame, Schweitzer continued to live simply in Lamborghini. He worked until old age, treating patients, overseeing the hospital, and writing. Critics did emerge over time. Some accused him of paternalism, arguing that his approach reflected colonial attitudes common in his era. Others questioned whether his hospital model empowered local communities enough. These criticisms are now part of a broader, necessary conversation about the legacy of humanitarian work in colonial contexts. Yet even critics acknowledge the scale and sincerity of Schweitzer's commitment. He never claimed perfection. He acted according to the ethical understanding of his time, driven by a genuine desire to reduce suffering. His life was not about symbolic gestures, but sustained effort over decades. Albert Schweitzer died on September 4, 1965, at the age of 90 in Lamborghini, the place that defined his life's second half. He was buried there, near the hospital he built with his own hands and unwavering conviction. Today, Schweitzer's legacy feels especially relevant. In a world overflowing with information, but often lacking moral clarity, his life reminds us that intelligence alone is not enough. Talent alone is not enough. What matters is what we choose to do with them. Schweitzer showed that ethics are not abstract theories confined to books. They are lived choices, made daily, often at great personal cost. Albert Schweitzer did not believe everyone needed to abandon their careers and move to the jungle. His message was quieter and more demanding than that. He believed that once we recognize life's value, we are responsible for protecting it wherever we are, with whatever means we have. And perhaps that is why, more than half a century after his death, his life still challenges us. Not to admire him from a distance, but to ask ourselves what kind of responsibility our own abilities quietly demand.